yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good. Fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts. I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong. I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth. Can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about. Have your fucking cloud, it be raining now. I keep making sound, go another round. Bitch, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me. A slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 Cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my fucking mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. I tell you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase them? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise. You don't wanna fuck with me. A slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact. Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick, and let's get this show started. Let's get it started right. It's Friday. The train of truth is here. I'm here. I'm running a little late. It's been a busy day. Even the train of truth is a little late, but it's okay. We are going to survive. It's the weekend, and I am excited for the weekend. I don't know about you, but we needed this. We needed this holiday that's coming up. It's Labor Day weekend, 3 days straight. For some, have 3 days off, which is amazing for those who do have the 3 days. And if you don't, it's okay. Enjoy the weekend because it's going to be a nice one. I'm definitely going to be going rapid fire on the news today because I do have a lot of windows to catch up today, and a lot of news to catch up. So I'm just going to go right to it. And then we're going to go like rapid fire through a lot of the news. And then we'll talk about it. After each segment, we'll talk about it. But I got to go on a rapid fire because it's just a lot going on. And I just want to get all this information embedded in me. So with that said, let's watch. Let's get Jason A up in here. We definitely need Jason A. Let's go ahead and change this background because it will drive me crazy. So let's come over here. Let's change this up over here because I don't like that one. Let's break this out here. And let's go straight to Jason A.
I do want to get your reaction to these Peter Thiel clips that have been circulated. This is from a Ross Douthat interview last week. And the reason that Peter Thiel is important is not only because he is a billionaire, but he is someone who is very influential. He is very ideological. He is very influential specifically in terms of this administration. So this is a person that you really should be listening to the things that he has to say.
Every American has a unique identity. I am proud to be gay. I am proud to be a Republican.
And so Douthat asked him some pretty interesting questions. Peter Thiel has been talking about his view of how the Antichrist might arise. And his theory is effectively that someone like a Greta Thunberg, as the example he specifically uses, would come in and claim that they're trying to save us all and, create peace and safety and unity and save us in this instance from the climate crisis. And they would use that as a way to create a totalitarian one world government. And that would be how we, get the rise of the Antichrist. And Douthat sort of flips that on him and says, well, isn't it possible that the tools you are creating and helping to create through entities like Palantir for mass surveillance, isn't it possible that that could be the means by which the Antichrist rises?
And so I do think it's interesting that Peter Thiel is talking about something like this. We all agree that there will be this kind of man of lawlessness. So is it possible that this person uses the threat and the fear of AI-powered Armageddon to gain his power? I would say that is possible. Is it also possible that he uses fear, other kinds of existential fear to gain power? Yes, it is possible. But is he some kind of metaphor for technological stagnation or like climate change or whatever it is? No, it is an actual man. He will actually convince lots of people to follow him.
The Trump administration has tapped Palantir, the data mining company founded by the billionaire tech investor Peter Thiel, to compile data on people in the United States for a master database, including a new $30 million contract with ICE to provide near real-time visibility into migrant movements as it seeks to arrest 3,000 people a day.
Just a few months ago, we started hearing about databases within DHS and IRS, SSA, across government being a process to mix data from government agencies that immigrants often report to. So IRS and tax data, all these kinds of things that can track their most recent addresses and things like that. So the Palantir process with its software foundry basically becomes the window for all of this data.
Billionaire Peter Thiel, who made his fortune creating PayPal and as one of the very first investors in Facebook is speaking out, sharing details about why he spent millions of dollars financing Hulk Hogan's winning case against Gawker Media. Silicon Valley billionaire Peter Thiel revealing to the New York Times overnight why he shelled out about $10 million for the courtroom takedown of Gawker by Hogan, whose real name is Terry Bollea. After Gawker published the 2007 article outing Thiel as gay, he told the Times, "I saw Gawker pioneer a unique and incredibly damaging way of getting attention by bullying people, even when there was no connection with the public interest." Thiel putting a plan in place to secretly fund cases in hopes of crippling the website.
You're talking about someone who is so rich going after an independent publisher, right? So those are the key factors here. That is sort of unprecedented, meaning you got these businesses that invest in lawsuits, right? They're basically betting on the outcome. They're saying, I'm going to bet X amount of dollars because I think the verdict's going to be that much more. This is totally different because this is personal.
Yeah.
He's doing this because he wants to bring Gawker down. And on the one hand, there's nothing wrong or illegal with that per se. And yet on the other hand, I'll tell you, as someone who owns a series of websites, it's scary to have this idea that someone could be determined to bring you down.
And for those people who are not familiar with Peter Thiel and his Palantir Technologies, could you talk a little bit about his history and viewpoints? I mean, there was one article that said that he's a big believer in Armageddon, and he has insisted that the enemies of the West will prevail unless software developers work more closely with the American government to produce AI-powered military capabilities.
This is my very specific question for you, right? Is that you're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right? Yeah, I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing. I
mean, to be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again, there are these different gradations of this we can describe, but is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safetyism? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety, and we've submitted.
Sure. Yeah. So Peter Thiel got his start, decades ago during the dot-com boom with Elon Musk and David Sacks, many people who are now in the government. David Sacks now is this AI czar in the White House. And so they made a ton of money building PayPal. And Peter Thiel has gone on to become a venture capitalist, investing in a ton of companies and co-founding Palantir, which he still interacts with and knows Alex Karp, the CEO, fairly well. Palantir, you were discussing how Peter Thiel was talking about American exceptionalism and wanting to become a tremendously dominant military power. Palantir is the company to do that. It is the company that builds a tremendous amount of defense and military technologies in order to use drones to track people across the world for American military operations. And so we're seeing Palantir being brought not just in the military industry, but also the public industry across a bunch of different agencies, as well as just different companies and businesses as well. They're starting to change not just from defense spending, right, but into becoming an operation system for the entire government.
And what do you personally put the odds at that Peter Thiel is himself the Antichrist?
I mean, I guess if you were to force me to place my money in a casino on any one individual of the 8 billion people on Earth being the Antichrist, he would be one of the top 2 or 3 people I might consider.
Yeah, same.
But I do think, yeah. But there was another interesting part that's very related, where I'm sure you saw this, and I actually did like a 25 minutes. We do a Q&A on Friday night. Someone asked me about it. I did like a 25-minute response on it, where Ross Kufat asked him, do you actually favor the continuation of the human species? Like, do you favor the survival of humanity as it is? And he basically was saying no. He refused to say yes. He was stuttering around, like, way more than he usually does. It wasn't like an autistic stuttering. It was like really he was struggling with that question. And Ross was like, that's a very basic question that should be an easy yes. Like, I'm asking you, should humanity survive? Right. And he basically described this yeah, that's something we should all have. That's like the warm-up question that I think we should all be able to answer quickly. But he couldn't, because he has this very transhumanistic vision that is shared by a lot of Silicon Valley tycoons like him. They basically view themselves as transcendent beings, as kind of the Ubermensch. And there's a lot of reasons why billionaires become accustomed to thinking that way. They're surrounded by people who treat them that way. They have the kind of power that makes them believe that they're uniquely capable of doing that. Mark Zuckerberg talking to Joe Rogan show about merging technology and robots and artificial intelligence with humanity to create a different form of human, a superior form of human. And a lot of them have this vision that is essentially, in my view, so anti-human. It's like a kind of vision where our efficiency and our utility is going to be maximized, even if it means the elimination of all the things that we think about as being the essence of humanity, in a way that would destroy whatever you think about as the soul or the spirit or whatever. So if you want to talk about the Antichrist and coming and attacking humanity with the intention of destroying it, I do agree with Ross's premise that it seems like a lot of what Peter Thiel is doing is way more likely than, say, Greta Thunberg, who has spent the last 18 months protesting the genocide in Gaza, not very Antichrist-like to me, in order to do that. And I think the fact that, obviously the Antichrist comes and poses as a noble and benevolent figure, and there he is saying safetyism. The whole point of Palantir is based on safetyism. Let us spy on you to keep you safe. Like, the projection there is so remarkable.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
Should the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so, it's always, I don't know, transhumanism is this, the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. But we want more transformation than that. The critique is not that it's weird and unnatural. It's so pathetically little. And we want more than cross-dressing. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind and change your whole body. And then Orthodox Christianity, by the way, the critique Orthodox Christianity has of this is these things don't go far enough. Like, that transhumanism is just changing your body, but you also need to transform your soul, and you need to transform your whole self. The way I understand, the Judeo-Christian inspiration is it is about transcending nature. It is about overcoming things, and and the closest thing you can say to nature is that people are fallen, and that's the natural thing in a Christian sense, is that you're messed up. And that's true. But, there's some ways that, with God's help, you are supposed to transcend that and overcome that.
That is very, very interesting. Very interesting. Is the Antichrist already here? Why are we so fascinated and so, like, why do our minds go to that. I feel like everything that's happening is a distraction. Everything that's going on in the world right now is just one big distraction from what the truth is. And they know the people can't handle the truth. And that's why we have chaos and anarchy, and we're projecting all this negative energy. And I keep telling you, the asteroid is somewhere out there. It's coming towards us, and we are attracting it with the energy we produce, and we like that negative energy. It's just spikes, and if they would have stopped this a long time ago, but they let it go. They let it keep going because the more negativity it brings, like this energy. It's just if it would have me, I would have cut that long time ago, back in the days. But we're at where we're at now, and our streets are kind of like war zones. Like, you wouldn't want to go drive in Hartford, Connecticut at 8:53 at night. Are you fucking kidding me? You would not want to drive by there. There are several areas we all know, because we all live throughout the world, where there's areas that are good and areas that are bad. And let me tell you something. The bad is super bad. And it feels like you're at war. You're at war in your home, and actually in the United States of America. And I feel like we're in a battle. And then you have the Democrats. Everything Trump says, it's the opposite. So they want the opposite. Everything. If Trump says he wants apple pie for everybody, the Democrats will come on and say we want pumpkin pie instead. Like, it's just like, it's so fucking weird. I don't understand that energy. I don't understand like how they continue to do this, and why do they just don't learn? Do they keep themselves ignorant? Like, is that an energy to just play that card of like ignorant? Hey, they got him to the White House before. Case in point, our last president, Biden. Da-da-da. That's what I called him. I called him Biden. Da-da-da. And definitely big time Brandon for sure. But da-da-da had a lot of like he was like a Roomba. He was on the Roomba, and then he's doing it's like the AI inside of him was like freaking out. It's like, what the fuck do I do? I don't know which way to go. Oh my goodness. He starts doing one of these. It's like, what is going on with this man? Like, are you kidding me? So we're very, very, very fortunate and very lucky that Biden didn't get in, and neither did Kamala, because that one right there is a super mess. Super, super, super. Like, it's just incredible how airheaded she is. And yet she has gotten to like the second highest like importancy of our country as vice president. How did that happen? How did that happen? How do we go from like Trump, and then we go to the dictators, and then we got to the dictators, and it's like, what's going on here? What's happening? Why are we, why are we in this clusterfuck? I feel like we're in a certain time frame in our history, in our life, that throw anything against the wall and see if it sticks. And right now Trump is sticking. So Trump is on that wall and he's sticking. And this is the second time he sticked up there. The first time around, we know what basically took him out was that C-19. That C-19 took Trump out. That's the damn truth. And it was orchestrated. It was orchestrated from the Democrats. The Democrats like leashed this beast, and it spread like wildfire. And the fact that they played it off and played dumb, and they continue to play dumb, and they're still in power, and they're still like Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and all these stupid idiots that are still in Washington, should ring alarm bells. If your alarm bell is not ringing, you're not fucking paying attention, and you're too busy. And it's okay to be busy. It's okay you have a life. It's okay you have to take care of your kids. It's okay you have to, but make it a point to pay attention to what's going on in the real world and what's going on in the world. And I try to bring it to you guys every day. And it's just a compilation of videos that I open up. I have not seen them. I'm watching it with you for the first time. So that's how this show is. So, and I do have Tyson De La Cruz that's going to be coming on here every Thursdays to do a show with me for like almost 2 hours long with Tyson. Are you fucking kidding me? That's like, the chat room is quiet now. Later, it's not going to be like that. I guarantee you. Mark my words. You're going to be like, fuck, I should have got in there while it was early. Because I'm kind of like Tesla in the beginning phases. I'm like in the beginning phases of Bitcoin, where it's very, very quiet until it explodes and it fucking goes crazy. Okay? I told you so. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on. Let me see. Where should we go? Since I was talking about that freak, and you know who I'm talking about. Super freak, Kamala Harris. Let's go to a story of her. So let's go straight to it.
Of Secret Service protection.
Her security detail had been quietly extended by then President Biden, but today President Trump ordered it to be revoked. Our DC Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy live at the White House now with much more. Ben.
Well, Calvin, a goal so far. No word from the White House on the reason behind this move, but it means in just a few days, Harris will no longer have Secret Service protection.
While I concede this election,
the White House has revoked former Vice President Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection, a senior Trump administration official said on Friday, after the commander-in-chief sent a memo to the Secretary of Homeland Security, writing, "You are hereby authorized to discontinue any security-related procedures previously authorized by executive memorandum beyond those required by law for the following individual effective September 1st, 2025, former Vice President Kamala D. Harris. Former VPs are entitled by law to receive 6 months of protection after leaving office.
I wonder what D means.
Should have ended July
Maybe
21st.
dork.
But new reports reveal an undisclosed directive, an arrangement by former President Joe Biden that extended Harris's protection for an additional year.
let us write the next great chapter.
This move to drop her security comes as Harris prepares to embark on a book tour for her memoir. Sharing on social media 107 days is a candid and personal account of the shortest presidential campaign in modern history. Adding, over the next few months, I will travel our country to share behind-the-scenes moments, lessons learned, and how we keep moving forward together. I'll see you out there.
You got to earn their vote.
But now without federal government protection. In a statement from a Harris senior advisor, the vice president is grateful to the U.S. Secret Service for their professionalism, dedication, and unwavering commitment to safety. And when it comes to Secret Service protection, it's not just about the security. Agents will go through emails for any threats and also guard her LA home, which they will do this weekend until Labor Day. Nicole, Calvin?
And Ben, as you're talking about Harris's book tour, which now, as you mentioned, doesn't include the Secret Service protection, any stops here in South Florida?
Nicole, yes, turns out there is one stop in Miami towards the end of November. This tour kicks off next month, 15 stops here in the U.S., and it also includes a visit to Toronto and London.
Okay, promoting her new book. Ben, thanks a lot.
She knows where's London? Wait a minute. Kamala knows where's Toronto and where's London? Because, like, she says she's never been to Europe, and she's been to Europe or she hasn't been to Europe. She confused the fuck out of me because I don't know where she's been. Where in the world has fucking Kamala been? I mixed a little Carmen Sandiego with that little jingle. Kamala, quit it. You and Gavin, are like, what's going on here? Like, this is like, I don't know. This is weird times, man. We're living in very weird times. I mean, this timeline, I would have never like thought like back in the days, like it was gonna get like this weird, and it has gotten weird. I knew it was gonna be crazy. I just didn't expect it to be as weird as it is too. Um, is it surprising? No, it's not. It's just I don't know. We're very interesting, weird times. I know the planet is moving a lot faster. I could feel it. I don't know if you guys feel it, but I feel like time's fast. It's like a lot faster. I feel like I kind of lose a little bit of my balance a little bit more, um, which is pretty weird. Um, but I just feel like everything's going a little bit fast, and then every day it's always something new, like in the news and like information wise. Like every day is like a new day. It's like holy shit! Like how many like lives we go through when we wake up? Like it's a new life. Because when we sleep, it's like we're not conscious, so it's like you're unplugged from life, and then when you wake up, you're like reactivated, and you're like a sim. You're like a sim in this world, and yeah, it's so unique. And then the fact that people continue to make mistakes is what surprised me the most. You know, because we know guns, you know, people kill people with guns. Okay, guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns. Okay, so I cannot blame a weapon, because if a person did not have that weapon, there's no how that gun would be discharging. There's no way, right? It all depends on how responsible the hands of that weapon goes into, and the fact that there's a lot of people that get it off the streets, get it off the black market. They obtain these weapons. They rob people's cars, and sometimes these cars have weapons in them. They break into homes and they steal the weapons in there too. So there's a lot of cases like that, and a lot of weaponry that came through the border too. That's what's the surprising shit of that border being so wide open. There's a lot of diseases that came through that we're experiencing. Shit, the Black Plague is back. Like, the plague is back. That's crazy, right? You have the measles outbreak. You got like all different types of shit. Like, you have this worm what's the name of that damn worm? The one that came from El Salvador. Um, it's gonna kill me now, motherfucker. The little fucking worm from El Salvador, and I'm not talking about that Abreu or Garcia guy, Kilmore, that's in ICE custody, and the so-called Maryland man. It sounds stupid. It sounds the name itself, the title, you know, because he's gonna sell like. I'm not surprised if he doesn't trademark that, you know? I mean, because these Democrats, I would not be surprised if they did. Um, it's fucking crazy, this world, man. It's just very unique. And this is chaos that's going throughout the world. It's not just like here in the United States. UK is going through this problem. Europe is going through this problem. Italy is trying to get rid of this problem. They're trying to like push the immigrants out now, and they're intensifying their deportation and getting a lot of the people that come in through Africa. They come through to Italy, and now they're just trying to get them out because they don't have the space and they don't have the resources to be feeding and taking care of, and that's a full like stress on the infrastructure of waste management, garbage, like the water. It trickles down, like it's a domino effect, and that happens, you know, when you infiltrate by the numbers, like by the millions, and that puts a strain because there's only a certain amount for the people of that country. But now you have all these people here, and now they're eating up on the system, and eating up on the food, and eating up on the water and waste, and taking a shit and piss and all that stuff. That's overworking the system. People don't think that. People like don't think of the bigger picture of everything. They only think of just the little stuff. I mean, I got too much time in my hands. That's the damn problem. I have too much time on my hands. But let's go ahead and let's pick out something and just move forward. And then we got a lot of news to go through. So I'm definitely in it for a few hours here. But I'm gonna try to go a little quick now and not talk so much. I'm still gonna talk, but I'm gonna try to go as fast as I can. All right, let me set it up. Let's go ahead and just watch this one. Let me close this one out. Okay, set it up. And I'm gonna try to go. I know I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna have to say something. I know this show's gonna be long. Fuck it. It's Friday. It's the weekend. It's the weekend. We get to enjoy Friday night with me. Like the 2 that are watching, thank you. You guys are gonna be very, very successful. You guys are gonna have pretty good luck for the next 2 weeks. I give you good luck for the next 2 weeks since you two are here. Let's get to it. Let's watch this. It's crazy. Some stories be crazy. It's just a whole bunch of stories I opened up. Okay, so let's go with it.
A disturbing story out of San Diego. ICE officers arresting a 3-time deported, convicted pedophile who was found living in an at-home daycare run by his wife. The suspect, a Mexican national and confirmed gang member, has a lengthy rap sheet with convictions for sex offenses involving a child under 14, battery, illegal possession of a firearm, driving under the influence, and robbery. One ICE official says cases like these are why their job is so important.
But the Democrats are protecting him?
That's exactly why ICE is conducting enforcement operations in San Diego. To remove dangerous criminals who threaten our communities.
He is living in a daycare?
And put public safety at risk.
Wait a minute.
ICE agents nabbing that convicted pedophile and gang member, Democratic Connecticut Congressman John Larson had this to say about our federal law enforcement.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America.
I don't live far
Borders
from
Tom
Newington.
Holman does not
He's a
understand why the
fucking
Democrats
idiot.
are opposing these types of operations.
He's an idiot.
It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like I just said, we took guns off the street that were fully automatic in the city of Chicago.
I don't live far from Newington.
We took child sexual predators, people who committed sexual crimes against
I live in
children
Connecticut.
off the streets of Chicago. That's the solution. Every day, ICE has taken thousands of criminals off the street of this country, including Chicago. We have a big operation up there that's continuing, and it's about to get a lot bigger. If you don't want to help, get out of the way. We'll do it.
Guys, starting with you, it is astounding the numbers of just sex offenders that have been taken into custody by ICE in the recent
3-time
months.
deported
Your thoughts
illegal
and also
alien
on the Democratic
was
pushback that
convicted pedophilia.
continues
Oh
these
my
Nazi
God.
comparisons when it comes to
That's-
our ICE officials.
I don't know.
And
if
then he was
Congressman
living
John
in a
Larson has
daycare.
grandkids. But if he does, would he volunteer to send them to a daycare center where a convicted pedophile, gang member, illegal immigrant was living? I don't think he would. Unless I'm wrong, I would like to hear him explain why it is that he would compare the officers whose job it is to remove that person from our country, that type of person from our country, why he would compare them to Nazis. Is that task that they're performing not valid? Is it not righteous? Is it something that he opposes truly? And if not, I'd like to hear him explain himself a little further, because that unhinged rant, I think is really sickening. And I think it's all political performance. And he understands in his heart of hearts, he would never want anyone in his family subjected to the danger represented by someone like that.
Well, when you raise this point about political performance, I can't help but wonder the same thing, because a number of Democrats have made similar comparisons, just Tim Walz smearing ICE agents as modern day Gestapo. So it's not an unusual tactic. Emily.
But that doesn't dilute how sickening it is. Guy and I just got back from touring Poland, where we went to the Holocaust atrocity sites, and to hear the cavalier nature with which these Democrat elected officials throw around Holocaust terms is so patently offensive and has zero place in our society, let alone when they are using those words as synonymous with our law enforcement.
And calling
your
Trump
answer was
Hitler.
so well taken. I mean, I'm
Crazy.
not quite sure why the Ted Kennedy
That's crazy.
lookalike from Connecticut thinks it's okay
And I live in
to not
Connecticut.
see the value in removing pedophiles from daycares. And everyone sort of perverting the conversation into one of racism and one of color has absolutely then no idea who the primary victims are of all of these crimes, which are usually women and women of color. So where are all of those voices that we have been hearing so loud over these last few years that seem to not be pulling for these people that need protection, and that so easily could be if people would just get on board with law enforcement?
Yeah, and it's stunning that in these recent months that we've seen this job of finding convicted sex offenders with long rap sheets and bringing them into custody, that it has fallen to ICE on the federal level to do this all across America, but also in sanctuary cities too.
I mean, this just makes my blood boil. This should not happen in our country at all. We should be protecting our innocent, our children. You think of single mothers who are taking their children to these daycares and struggling and fighting. This is the last thing that they should ever have to worry about. But I guess it causes me to pause and ask, is this who the Democrats are defending when they say that they do not want ICE in our cities?
Yes.
I mean, they have a real problem on their hands. Again, back to sort of what we were talking about in our last segment, is they better get on the side of Americans. They would rather defend criminals than victims. And that just simply doesn't make any sense. And then you look at the dangerous rhetoric, the continued dangerous rhetoric from Tim Walz and now John Larson. It's spurring violence against our ICE agents. Violence against ICE agents, attacks against ICE agents is up 830%. I mean, that is crazy. And we hear Tom Homan, he's talking about is solutions. ICE agents are the heroes in our country right now, and they need all the support and backing they can get to protect our children, our most innocent.
And Tom Homan has made the argument that because of the lack of cooperation, his agency has little choice but to go into these sanctuary cities to find these individuals.
Right. What I love about the Trump administration and Tom Homan, among many things, is that they're not deterred by the crowing of some of these Democrats and even some of the public backlash that I think is actually the very loud minority of people who don't want ICE in their communities or don't appreciate these operations. The administration is not listening to those folks. They're continuing on with the mission. And in fact, they're tripling down. Tom Homan says it often. You don't want to work with us? Well, we're going to flood the zone. You want to be a sanctuary state? Okay. You don't want to cooperate? We're going to send in a couple hundred more. And I love that about their resolve, especially in Trump administration 2.0, that all of these sob stories, they're not working this time. The American people will be put first, and there will be nothing that gets in the way of that. And I give them a lot of credit for going against all of these attempts at sob stories that we hear that often exclude a lot of the information, by the way, when they talk about the Maryland father or the such and such makeup artist from here. And then you see the backstory. It's like, okay. So I love the fact that they're standing firmly on this.
And one of the reasons that ICE is so very busy is because of the astounding numbers, the open border policies that we've seen in recent years, Emily.
Yeah, and the statistics, Barrett, so as we talk about, for example, this individual who had been deported multiple times, yet somehow was still here, under the prior administration, we had record highs of illegal immigrants here. We know this, 14 million, but also a record high were those having some sort of protection under that administration, preventing deportation. And that number is 6 million, I want to say. Yeah, 6 million of them had some type of legal protection. So no wonder we are trying desperately to clean house, and how that big job that Tom Homan has. And I believe we have these statistics. We can put them on the screen for you all. But to see the numbers are so staggering, so staggering. 14 million illegal immigrants under the Biden administration, 6 million enjoying that deportation protection. And you mentioned specifically the sex offender sort of group within that. I mean, I know that a lot of people on the left deny it, but you have to wonder, with that such a very high concentration, I am sure there was a deliberate strategy to eject the worst of the worst of other societies onto ours, and now we are left cleaning up the mess.
And also this significant effort to tackle the gang problem and the cartel problem has all been a part of ICE's strategy and efforts in recent months.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel.
Like, okay, I'm gonna have to speak on this because we all have opinions. Remember that trip that Kamala Harris did, that she went to South America? And I think this is the trip where triggered the migration of people. Remember the migration of people? And people were just coming in droves. They were coming in like I still don't understand how these people walked all that distance to get here, right? Who supplied them with shoes? Who supplied them with to eat, supplies, like even money? It's I don't know. It's just a weird. Everything's so weird, you know. And the fact all those people that came in those caravans, they all came here into the United States, and they're trying to stay here. They're trying to stick their ground here, and the fact they don't belong here, and they're like, oh, but I didn't commit no crimes. Bitch, the first crime you did commit is when you crossed the border illegally. Hello, that's the beginning and that's the end. Yes, you committed a crime. You entered the country illegally. How is that not common sense? Why do we have to go to court and have all this stuff like that Kilmar Abrego? I don't understand. And that the taxpayer has to pay for it because he ain't paying for it. All this injunctions and courts and the judges delaying the deportation and delaying all this stuff, and then ICE has them in custody. Who's paying for all that? The Americans. But people don't pay attention. They don't pay attention. It's ridiculous. All right, let's go to more news here. I'm trying to go rapid fire, but I'm failing at it. I'm failing at it. So let's watch.
The Trump administration has told Congress it plans to cancel previously approved funding for foreign aid. In a letter to House Speaker Mike Johnson posted online by the White House Office of Management and Budget, the president said he was proposing cuts totaling nearly $5 billion. And that includes funding for the State Department as well as the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. Back in February, the Trump administration announced plans to dismantle USAID as well as its overseas operations, with its remaining programs placed under control of the State Department. And in July, the House and Senate approved an additional $9 billion in cuts to the agency. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Nicole Killian. And Nicole, thanks for joining us tonight. This nearly $5 billion in foreign aid funding, it had already been previously approved by Congress. So how is the president able to block this additional funding for USAID?
Well, we can't say it's a done deal just yet because there are a lot of lawmakers who are pushing back against this from both parties, most notably with respect to the Appropriations Committee, which controls, a lot of the funding here on Capitol Hill and how it's allocated, drafts a lot of the appropriations bills, of course, that ultimately fund government. And so we did hear a pretty strong statement earlier today from the Senate Appropriations.
That's a lot of money.
Susan Collins, a Republican from Maine,
$5 billion?
basically said more or less that this is an attempt to rescind a congressionally
That's a
appropriated
lot of
fund,
money.
going on to suggest that that was unlawful. That is also the same language that we are hearing from Democrats like Chuck Schumer, who also called this unlawful, as did Jeanne Shaheen, who oversees the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, who called this dangerous. So look, this is something that when Congress returns, we certainly expect them to push back on. The White House, however, though, continues to defend its actions with respect to these rescissions, which are considered a pocket rescission because in essence, they won't be spending these funds, which is how they're able to claw it back, which is different from when we saw Congress pass an actual rescissions package, which was proposed to them, presented to them, and they voted on this. Instead, this is the White House just automatically clawing back the funds, and that's why many lawmakers are objecting.
Hey, Nicole, on another note
That's
here,
crazy.
sources telling
These
CBS News that
lawmakers are
Republican Senator
pushing
Joni
to
Ernst
give our
Iowa
money away.
will not be seeking re-election in 2026. I know you've been following this story all day. What are you hearing?
Well, yeah, this story was first broken by our Jennifer Jacobs, who learned through sources that the Iowa senator does not intend to seek re-election next year, believing that she has pretty much done what she has set out to accomplish, according to sources who are familiar with her decision. But she has yet to officially announce it. We are expecting that official announcement sometime potentially next week, next Thursday. But it does certainly present a potential opportunity for Democrats who are looking for more seats to flip, since the map right now is probably more favorable to Republicans. So definitely is something that will continue to shake up things here on Capitol Hill, and certainly the election come midterms time as we get closer to next November.
Yeah, I was waiting for things to get exciting on the Hill.
I feel like this all is
Nicole Killian,
distraction.
thank you
They're
very much.
always exciting, Nancy. Always exciting.
They are indeed.
Never a dull moment.
Definitely not. Nicole, thank you very much.
Good
We
for
appreciate
you.
you.
Never a dull moment. I feel like this is like all distractions. Like it has to be like, and then they want you to feel this energy, this energy of like November, right, for voting. They want that energy to be upbeat energy, to like, oh, we're gonna change the, it's like a battle, like going to the, I think that's what they call it, the battle box, is the voting box. That's what they call it, the battle box. But it's like, how effective this voting is going to be in November, right? It's going to be important for sure. My thing is how legit is going to be. Are the migrants going to continue to go vote, or that's where they're going to catch them when they go vote? And that's it's super illegal, first of all. But since they have an ID, they could just go right into the booth, like, here's my ID. They're like, oh, okay, well, here's a voting thing. ¿Qué? Oh, ve allá y lo llene. Oh, okay, yo lo hago ahora. Yeah. Crazy shit. It's crazy. Maybe that's where they're gonna catch these fraudulent voters, these illegal migrants voting, and that's where they're gonna cross that's where they're gonna get the information, and because if they have IDs, they know, the government knows. The government knows who has what, where. There's been a lot of buzz going on with IDs and driver's license that were issued to illegal migrants, and all the migrants had to pay was like $200, it was like they would pay a certain amount of money, and then the teller or the person who was helping them get the ID, the fake ID, they would pay them like $200. So it was like, I'm pretty sure the migrant paid like $1,000, and like from that 1,200 went to like the teller or the agent that issued the driver's license to the illegals. It's crazy. That's crazy. And then you have these people on our streets and on our roads, and a lot of them don't have insurance. So, like, you kind of like playing Russian roulette when you get in a car and you hit on those highways and byways. Just be careful, especially this weekend because it's Labor Day weekend, and a lot of people will try to be having too much fun. And what I mean by that is drinking and driving. And a lot of people already here in Connecticut lost their life. Accidents on the highway. I think we're like 145 people already died on the highways this year here in Connecticut. That number is going to climb a lot more. But don't drink and drive. If you're going to drink, be responsible, stay home, and just chill, have a good time. And if you're going to smoke out, chill at home, have your drink, enjoy the weekend. It's a nice long weekend, and actually the first week of the NCAA football, college football is back this weekend. And there's a lot of big games on there, and pretty sure a lot of people are going to be watching it. I really don't care too much about it. I don't watch sports that much. I just, sometimes I'll catch a football game and stuff, and I'll watch it and so forth. But other than that, like, I'm not like, when I was younger, I would follow up on it and look at it and stuff like that. It's like a different me now, since I'm like not tied into the system. I feel like I broke away from the system, and I'm just seeing everything from the outside in. People get distracted with those games, and it's a real good form of hypnosis that they keep people just like focused and tied into a game, and they pay all this money to be like manipulated, pretty much. Crazy. All right, let's go to the next story. I don't even know what's what. Like, we're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna keep going nonstop. Nah, I have to stop and talk. It's just not right for me not to.
Republican Senator Ashley Moody joins us now. You can't live with this, Madam Senator. You just can't have it, can you?
No, and this is why the public is becoming increasingly frustrated with these, I would call them political activist litigants that are using the courts to try and impede an administration from getting the job done that they promised to the American people. And this Obama-era judge played right into the hands of these activist litigants and has said, no, you have to shut down Alligator Alcatraz over a law that was never intended to address a state facility that was using a county-owned land that used by the state that they were going to run to try and help President Trump in this effort. And now you've got a facility shut down that's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. The good news is Alligator Alcatraz lit a fire under other states, and we've now seen other states step up and say, look, we can help with temporary detention. We can help with this largest law and order deportation effort that's ever been undertaken by a president. And now they're doing their job. But certainly Governor DeSantis will make sure that this is appealed. It really, really should not have applied. No, this was meant to apply for large infrastructure projects, rail, roads, where the permanency, the cost could not be undone once it was built if the environmental concerns weren't considered.
One more for you, Senator. I'm intrigued at this. Governor Ron DeSantis proposes a Florida Doge to eliminate or at least drastically cut property taxes in Florida. A, do you like this idea?
Wow.
And B, how does it actually work? Doge cuts costs in Florida so you can cut property taxes. Is that it?
This is such a great idea. And think about states
Wow.
like California. If they had done something proactive like this when their property taxes started skyrocketing, you might have prevented some of the undermining of the beauty and cities there in California. But this is a great idea. So think about it. In one specific county here in Florida, the property taxes went up 50% to the counties because of value in property skyrocketing, and the population only grew 5%. And so what Governor DeSantis and the Department of Government Efficiency, we now have a department set up by statute here in Florida to go in and examine the expenses being laid out to make sure that they're not superfluous or undermining stability or law and order, pet projects. I mean, in one instance, they found a county administrator was making more than the president of the United States. I mean, this is great governing, and it makes sure that we're respecting taxpayers and not treating them like piggy banks for any of these wild and crazy projects that the cities or counties might want to undertake.
We have a lot of viewers in Florida. I'm sure they're delighted to hear that maybe their property taxes could inch a bit lower. Senator, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Great to be with you.
Okay, we're going down the line. Next.
Emails from a top state official say Alligator Alcatraz will be empty in a matter of days. Republican lawmakers are vowing to fight a federal judge's decision to wind down operations at Alligator Alcatraz. Channel 9's Giovanni Diaz live outside of the Orange County Jail. And Gio, the state has appealed this decision.
Yeah, Martha, that's because they say the state needs the space to house undocumented immigrants, because otherwise jails like this one behind me are now getting overcrowded.
Nearly 2 months since Alligator Alcatraz opened up, operations around here are set to wind down. It comes after a federal judge agreed the facility could be harmful to the native land and wildlife in the area. We keep us safe. Advocacy groups had been looking into legal ways to stop Alligator Alcatraz even before it started housing detainees back in July. The governor promises to fight back.
We're ready to help. We want to continue to help. We have to continue with this mission. It's important, and ultimately it's going to be good for the state of Florida.
Still, emails exchanged between the state's emergency management director, Kevin Guthrie, and a faith leader in South Florida show Guthrie expects Alligator Alcatraz to be empty within days. The department was the responsible for building the facility in the first place. Now, Democratic lawmakers are cautiously calling this a win, while Republicans say it was a political move.
The fight isn't over yet. Right now, the state of Florida is following the federal order and is depopulating the facility. But to be clear, the legal fight is not over.
I'm going to do everything I can to fight them, to make sure we can deport them, whether it's through Alligator Alcatraz or straight on the plane home.
So here's the thing. The claim that the state needs Alligator Alcatraz has been challenged by advocacy groups, especially because the governor announced another massive detention facility dubbed Deportation Depot in North Florida. That facility could house more than 3,000 undocumented immigrants. Reporting live in Orange County, I'm Giovanni Diaz, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
That's pretty interesting. My thoughts, I don't know. They're playing games. You know, I just feel like it's all like, especially it's all politics. You know, it's all about politics. And down in South Florida, it's somewhat heavy Democratic, and I don't know why, to be honest with you. A lot of Cubans, a lot of illegal Cubans. Well, not really illegal because they have the stupid policy versus the wet foot, dry foot policy that if you make it to land, you could seek asylum and seek to stay, and they grant you like amnesty to stay, which I think is stupid. I think they need to be deported back home. And if that's the case, South Florida is going to have a mass exodus because there's a lot of illegals in South Florida. Holy shit, there's a lot of illegals from all around the world. They're in South Florida. And you'll see, as soon as they start raiding South Florida and getting all these people out of South Florida, I guess the rents will drop because there'll be more available apartments. the food prices will go down because there's not a lot of people eating. So there's more produce and more food on the shelves. So they're able to slow the production down. And since they're slowing down the production, they'll lower the prices to move their product out. Come on, economics. Anyhow, let's go ahead and go to another story here. Let me just set it up and let's keep going.
And we have new CBS reporting on what could be the largest immigration detention facility in U.S. history. It is in El Paso, Texas. And as Florida's so-called alligator Alcatraz has now been ordered to wind down operations, some of those detainees have been moved here.
Oh,
is in El Paso.
No, they took him to Texas.
The East Montana Detention Center, or what some are calling the Lone Star Lockup here in El Paso, Texas, could end up being, when it is full, the biggest immigration detention facility this country has ever had. This is located on Fort Bliss Army property, but let me give you some perspective as we rotate around here.
Wow, Army
because you'll see that there's a highway back here. There's a lot of just empty space, sand dunes, scrub brush. You don't see any walls. You don't see any gates or fences because this facility has really been built out in the middle of a somewhat undeveloped part of the Army base. It's all sand dunes, and we've seen some dust
it's part of the
storms
Army.
as we've been out
You
here
can't say
in the
shit
late
now.
afternoon hours, and this is where this
You don't see
soft-sided
no
tent
protesters
facility
there. Where's the
has been built.
protesters?
It opened less than 2 weeks ago with about 1,000 people. We talked with Representative Veronica Escobar, who's now had two
South
visits
Florida's
inside,
very
and she said
sensitive with
the
the
population
Everglades.
now up to about 1,500. This could
activists,
eventually
they're very
grow
paid.
up
They're
to
paid well.
5,000 people. It is men, and she has told us that there are women being housed here as well now. And some of the people inside have been brought from Florida. These were people who may have earlier on been held at the alligator Alcatraz in the Everglades in South Florida, and they have since been moved here. The concern for some advocates is the care of people inside this facility, which has gone up extremely fast, and their ability to speak to lawyers and for lawyers to have visits with them. Something that attorneys are working on right now, but they say could continue to be more difficult as the facility continues to bring in more people, and something they are currently trying to address with federal officials. Back to you.
Well, my thing is, it's okay. They can move them from Florida to Texas. Either way, they got to go. And South Florida, expect one of the biggest raids of your lives is going to happen down there. Yeah, there's a lot of illegal people down there. Oh my God. In South Florida? Oof. A lot of illegals. Like, I think the illegals outnumber the legals. And a lot of them vote. And that's the crazy shit. A lot of them vote illegally. And that's a big problem. All right, let's check out some more news.
Some political signs in Killingly causing quite a stir. These aren't the usual lawn signs people put out around election time. And Luke Haidash is your reporter live in Dayville, of the Dayville section of town, rather, to explain more on this for us tonight. Luke.
There are a number of signs on the property here in Dayville. We'll give you a closer look at them in just a second. Not everybody is happy with the language on them and the messaging, but the town says it's free speech and the signs can stay. On Upper Maple Street, one house gets far more attention than the others.
I mean, there's freedom of speech, but you can only go so far with it.
Clearly, the owner is not a fan of the president and isn't afraid to show it. There's a sign in front of the house, a couple on it, and a public graffiti board.
I am all for freedom of speech, but there is a limit to what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
Jasmine has a 10-year-old daughter who goes to Killingly Intermediate School just a third of a mile away from the home with the signs.
I just think that there's a boundary between, having free speech, but then also targeting minors. That's very wrong.
The town says it's gotten a number of complaints about the property, especially since kids can see all of this, but it says it complies with Killingly's non-content-based zoning regulations, including those applicable to areas near schools.
I don't like it being that close to the school, but everybody's got freedom of speech.
Bill Whitney He works in the area. He says the town's right. The First Amendment should protect this.
Get out of here.
The town and police say they'll continue to keep an eye on this situation. We got a whole
I'm surprised you don't have that American.
They said nothing to contribute to our story. Your reporter, Levin David, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
I mean, if he would have just went all out, right? If he would have just went all out and just put the American flag upside down, then we would have known like he's distressed. But Kennedy is not far from me either. Connecticut is pretty small. It's not a big state. It's a very little state. Rhode Island's that little piece of shit state next to us, and that's the smallest state in America. You know what I mean? we're just little. We're a little state here, and I don't know. People are just wild, very wild. Okay, let's go to some weird news, right? It's time for some weird news. This is the weird news of the night, I guess. I don't know if I have any other windows that are weird. I mean, let me see. Maybe some crazy. A lot of politics stuff. Maybe some war with Venezuela. And then we got Tyson at the end, and Tyson's gonna upload pretty soon, so it might have a back-to-back on Tyson. So, all right, let's go to this news here.
A scientist believes he may have solved the infamous mystery of the Bermuda Triangle, which has been the site of supernatural speculation, plane crashes, and shipwrecks.
We got one up here too.
An oceanographer from the University of Southampton, Dr. Simon Boxall, discovered the region in the Atlantic Ocean has rogue waves, which are a natural ocean phenomena where waves can form around 100 feet high, coming from all angles, and are powerful enough to break a ship in half. To test the theory, Dr. Boxall and his team ran a simulation to recreate the USS Cyclops, an American carrier ship that sank in the region in 1918 and took 309 lives. So joining me now is Dr. Simon Boxall. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time today.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Why your theory of rogue waves makes sense.
There are two things here. I think the first thing is that rogue waves occur around the globe, but there are certain areas of the globe where rogue waves are more common. And rogue waves occur where you get two storm systems coming together, and a typical storm might only produce a wave of maybe 10 or 12 meters. That's about 30 feet. That's a lot. But where you get two storms, and somewhere like Florida, where you have Hurricane Alley, we talked about hurricanes in the last item, and you also get storms up in the North Atlantic, sort of off the Grand Banks. We get waves coming together and they combine to create these big rogue waves. Rogue waves don't come out of the blue. They occur in a storm condition. But there's another real reason why it's not just about rogue waves, because there's lots of mysterious disappearances, apparently. But the Bermuda Triangle was only created as a concept by someone called George X. Sand in 1952. Prior to that, there was no real mystery. And we can extend mysteries of the oceans across the entire globe. And there are two interesting facts. The first fact is that 33%, that's a third of all privately registered boats in the United States, are within that Bermuda Triangle area, because the triangle actually extends across to Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia, and includes the Bahamas. So a third of all the vessels registered in the US, private vessels, are in that area. Factoid number two, the US Coast Guard report from 2019, typical year, showed that 82% of all incidents at sea, that's losses of boats, losses of lives, accidents, occurred because people had no training and or no experience. Anyone can go and buy a boat. Anyone can take a 100-foot boat out into the open ocean without any training, without any safety equipment, without radios, without navigation equipment. There's nothing to stop them doing that. And if you take a third of the population and you put them into that triangle area, it's not surprising that boats sometimes go missing.
Yeah, no, that absolutely does make sense. And, when you said we can extend the mysteries of the ocean across the globe, also absolutely a valid point. How does this theory, though, account for the planes which have seemingly disappeared and the claims that, plane instruments start failing when flying above this area?
Yeah, there's a bit of a the famous one here is the flight. I think it was a naval flight back in 1949 that went missing. And the argument is that it's a flight of experienced aviators, and they shouldn't have got lost, and there must be something mysterious, the instruments playing up. The reality is, of course, in 1949, there was no GPS, there was no navigation systems. It was usually, particularly for a solo flight, by eye. In other words, you looked down at the ground beneath and you worked out where you were. Now, that particular flight was actually a training flight. And apart from the trainer themselves, all of the people flying, all of the aviators were actually students. They were novices. And they've been flying, doing some exercises. And the reality is that as they turned to head home, they were using by sight navigation. And the trainer was renowned for being a little bit pompous and said, right, we're going this way, chaps. And the students actually pointed out that they felt he was wrong. He then berated them for questioning his judgment. And this was actually picked up by radio from the ground station. So they knew that there was some argument about where they were. And it turned out they turned left instead of right and ended up going out into the open sea. And of course, eventually ran out of fuel. Small aircraft, huge ocean, the chances of finding them is zero.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get
the Bermuda Triangle. I always felt like those energy pulses that I guess between the waves and the air, and it's kind of like the friction, and it has some kind of vortex of energy, and because of the rogue waves, and it goes up into the air and it messes with the instruments of airplanes, and a lot of them, 20, it's a lot that just disappeared. It's wild. Okay, so let's keep it moving. Where we're gonna go? Okay, we'll go here. It's political, so let's get back to the politics stuff. Ugh, I know.
Just moments ago, actually, a federal appeals court ruled most of President Trump's tariffs are illegal.
How is it?
The court is saying the president exceeded his authority in imposing those levies.
Who's
that's
bullshit.
David Spunt has details tonight, breaking just minutes ago. Good evening,
This
David.
is bullshit.
Good evening. The catch is that the tariffs can stay in place until October 14th. That's when the mandate from the circuit court, the federal circuit court appeals decision actually kicks in. This was a 127-page decision that just came down within the last 30 minutes. We're reading it, but it finds that most of the president's tariffs are unconstitutional. This was published to the public docket, as I said, within the last few minutes. Now, the panel found that the tariffs on nearly every country were not authorized, Brett, by the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, and therefore are illegal. The court writing today unanimously, the statute bestows significant authority on the president to undertake a number of actions in response to a declared national emergency. But none of these actions explicitly include the power to impose tariffs, duties, or the like.
Are you kidding me?
To tax. Now, arguments were recently
Oh,
held in Washington,
Lord.
D.C. This gives
Supreme
the
Court.
administration the green light to go directly here to the U.S. Supreme Court, which we expect
It's the Supreme
to happen
Court
very
again.
soon.
Trump is like,
Not
man,
yet
I'm sorry
heard
for
from the
wasting your
White House,
time.
but we are expecting something.
But
this
these lower
hour.
courts
Now,
are
as I
fucking
mentioned,
idiots.
this ruling does not take effect until October 14th, according to this appeals court, meaning that for now, for the next 6 weeks or so, the president continue the current posture with the tariffs as we wait some reaction here from the White House, Brett. But this is certainly a late Friday news dump from the appeals court for the federal circuit. No question as we read through this.
It's a major story, and obviously there are countries trying to negotiate tariffs, and now there's this question of legality. But one quick question, David.
Sure.
We've seen the Supreme Court step in a couple of times here, and the administration has had success taking cases like this, appellate cases, all the way to the Supreme Court in an emergency situation. So obviously they're hoping for that again.
Obviously, they are. I covered the Justice Department. DOJ feels very comfortable with this Supreme Court, especially over the past few months. Clearly, the Supreme Court is independent-minded and can decide whatever the majority wants. But the administration feels fairly confident, and we should expect to see some action taken to the Supreme Court. Not sure if it's going to be today. Monday's a holiday, but I would say fairly soon.
Okay. David Spahn, thanks.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox
I'd
News
say,
YouTube.
listen, they're playing games. You know, they're wasting people's taxpayer money. They're just going back and forth with this stuff. They're like, the Supreme Court is like, what the fuck, man? Like, these people can't just follow the fucking law. Like, Trump is in charge, man. He's the fucking president. If he wants to fucking do whatever the fuck, he can do whatever the fuck. Like, take off the fucking training wheels already. These Democrats, they love training wheels, man. They're training wheel, like, Kamala's one big training wheel. That's one big wreck. Fuck the training wheels with that one. That one's probably all fucking all over the place when she's riding a bike. She needs those training wheels. That's for damn sure. All right, let's continue. Freaking Kamala. Freaking, she's a weirdo.
Is in our newsroom now with that and developing situation happening in Venezuela. Glenna.
Calvin, Nicole, that ruling was not about the merits of TPS, just that the president does not have the legal authority to end it. Congress created it. Congress has to take it away, and it has not.
Temporary protected status in the U.S., now protected by a federal appeals panel in California. Their opinion, TPS
California.
by Congress to give predictable safety and legal status to those whose
This is
country
going to the Supreme Court too.
or politically unstable for their return. The president does not have the authority to end it. Venezuelans in the U.S. now watching an escalation of tensions, most visibly by the U.S. warships positioning off Venezuela's north coast, an anti-drug trafficking operation, a message to President Nicolas Maduro, considered a narco-terrorist cartel leader by the Trump administration, a $50 million bounty for his arrest.
The point of me, as Chief of Naval Operations, is to give combatant commanders forces that they can employ to give the President and Secretary of Defense options.
Venezuela es un país admirado en el mundo.
Maduro sent a letter of concerns and defiance to the United Nations General Secretary.
We are prepared to defend our country, not to deploy forces in the region. We defend our territory.
Venezolanos y colombianos unidos por la paz.
A ramp up
Kind of
of
reminds me of like
Venezuelan
Fidel
and
Castro
Colombian troops along their
back in the
common
day.
border, a crime and drug trafficking operation, though a call for cooperation against outside threat. The next U.S. move unclear.
Whatever our president decides to do in order to stop the murder of Americans, protect American citizens, in how
Are you
he
kidding me?
deals
That's the
with
video that they
these
show.
terrorist threats, these terrorists, I wholeheartedly support.
South Florida members of Congress represent the largest population of Venezuelans in the U.S.
I'm glad that there are sanctions that are being levied on him.
See, South Florida.
I would like to see the revocation of these oil
Oh
lease
no,
sales
not this
because
crazy
it's
bitch.
the money that's flowing to him that is keeping him in power.
She's the Obamas.
Defiant
She's really
Maduro
close with the
today
Obamas.
warning publicly
And
and no
Clinton
doubt
too.
aimed at the United States that his country cannot be invaded. Calvin.
Okay, thanks.
I tell you, South Florida is horrible. It's not how it used to be, for sure. The Democrats there are fucking, they're ridiculous. Going to ridiculous. This is gonna jump right to the ridiculous. Look, I said it. Let's go straight to it. Jasmine Crockett.
It's not even about partisanship. It's about doing what's right. It's about doing the American thing. And to be clear, you can wave all the flags you want to, but I am telling you right now that the most unpatriotic people that we have in this country are MAGA and this president. We are the real patriots, and it is time for us to take our flag back and show people what America is about.
So Elizabeth, she didn't use the word deplorable, but she could have.
She got close.
Yeah.
It's funny. I remember in 2016, I was on the campaign with my little brother, and I said, things feel different than before. Politics seems to have shifted. And he said, yeah, they went from criticizing the candidate to criticizing his supporters. And that's the biggest mistake they could have ever made. That's why so many people turned and voted for Donald Trump. They were angry at the way that the media thought it was okay. Politicians thought it was okay to tell the American people how to vote and apparently what they think of them when they vote differently from them. And the problem is, like you said, they're now losing voters across America, but they're not changing what they've been doing for 8 years at all. In fact, I think they're adding on to it and doubling down.
They're doubling down, and you know, whether it's defending criminals or illegal alien criminals, or they're still pushing DEI. All of these policies are things that derailed them in November of 2024. Voters rejected the open border. They rejected DEI, girls' sports. I mean, there was so many sleeper issues in the November 2024 election, and they don't seem. It's like, did they not do a deep dive? I thought they did do a deep dive. It doesn't seem like they're paying attention to the results of that deep dive.
You're exactly right, Cheryl. You know, what struck me about these comments by Crockett was that she's not really providing any specifics about what is wrong with the MAGA voter, what is wrong with the Republican Party. It's just all this hot air, these vacuous statements. My goodness, what's the point? The reality is that the Democrats really don't have any policies that are attractive to a broad segment of the American population. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they stand for. You know, they're soft on crime. They don't care about education. They don't care about the family. They wonder why they're not liked anymore. They wonder why they are losing voters to the Republicans. It's so self-evident.
Well, you know, and the leadership is now in a vacuum. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, that's yesterday's Democratic Party. That is not today's Democratic Party. Today's Democratic Party is democratic socialism, bordering on communism. So that's probably not a winning strategy either if you're trying to get moderates across the country to vote for you. Anyway, Hurricane Erin moving out to sea after causing floods along the East Coast. Fox weather meteorologist Marissa Torres joins us now. So did Erin deliver the punch that we thought she was going to, Marissa?
I'd say for the Carolinas, the Outer Banks, it did. We had very elevated tides, especially with astronomical high tide, combined with the storm surge from Erin. The good news is that it is moving out of the way. There's Erin just off the New England coast. It'll continue to excel out of New England. The one thing I'm concerned about with Erin is that rip current risk remains high. And outside of the southeast, we do have beautiful weather and sunshine and average temperature. So I think a lot of people that are going to be heading to the beach but not realize we probably still have red flags at the beaches. Our next areas to watch, Invest 90L, not expected to really bring any big impacts to land, but Bermuda should keep an eye on it. And that next system, Invest 99L, should stay farther south. But it's an active time for the season, Cheryl, as we head further into August.
Yeah, we're just beginning, to your point. Marissa Torres, thank you so much.
Yeah, we still got a long way with hurricane season. Sure, we still got like 2 weeks until like the peak season. And the season has lows, so it has like waves. So you have like a very active part, and then you have a downwards. Right now we're in downwards, so everything's like pretty peaceful and quiet. But that's like the monster's coming. I'm telling you, these storms are gonna start rolling off Africa, and they're just gonna start forming right off of Africa. And the environmental, the climate is gonna be favorable for development. And I just hope it doesn't like kill people. That's all. If it stays out in the ocean, you know, that's good because that helps cool down the ocean, you know, and we need that. You know, that's Mother Nature filtering and turning up the water, and it's much needed. Okay, so let's go next here. Oh Lord, not this fool. This guy's a fucking idiot. I can't stand him. Gavin Newsom.
Is at the White House with the very latest. Hello, Lucas.
Good morning, Aisha. At the White House, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had a blunt message to Democrats from the podium yesterday.
This is our message to Americans in Democrat-run cities nationwide. Decline is a choice. You don't have to live in constant fear of being robbed, raped, or murdered. Your leaders are lying to you, and they have been failing you for decades.
Here in the nation's capital, Aisha, crime has been reduced after those reinforcements were calling to hit the streets. Here's the latest numbers. Over 1,300 arrests have been made since the operation started this month. 9 gang members have been arrested, 5 missing children rescued. Over 130 illegal weapons have been seized, and to date, 50 homeless encampments have been cleared. President Trump firing off a late-night post, quote, carjacking in D.C. is down 87%. All other categories of crime are likewise down massively since I got involved. D.C. will soon be a crime-free zone in only 14 days, far faster than scheduled. Thank you for your attention to this matter. As you mentioned, California Governor Gavin Newsom wants suppression teams, though not the National Guard, called in. He thinks these teams have already had luck in some cities around the state with crime problems. Here's Newsom explaining it yesterday.
Crime's an issue and we want to tackle it, and we continue to do more in that space. And we announced and highlighted some of the expansion. What is not contradictory, respectfully, is that we're doing it in partnership with our local communities. We did it in partnership with the Biden administration prior. We're not talking about the nationalization, the militarization of the Guard and militarizing United States cities.
Now, as far as the National Guard hitting the streets of Chicago, President Trump in a post yesterday just said, stay tuned. Aisha?
Okay, Lucas Tomlinson at the White House for us. Lucas, thank you. Well, Chicago's crime crisis has hit close to home for our Fox News political analyst, Gianno Caldwell. In 2022, Gianno's 18-year-old brother, Christian, was shot and killed in Chicago.
Wow.
And in a recent opinion piece, Gianno urges Trump to deploy the National Guard to that city immediately. Gianno joins me now, and he also wrote the new book, The Day My Brother Was Murdered, My Journey Through America's Violent Crime Crisis, a very important book for everyone who's interested in this topic to read. Gianno, you have such a deep and painful connection to this story and to this city in particular. So let me ask you this. When you hear somebody like J.B. Pritzker or Brandon Johnson come out and say, look, there's nothing to see here, there's no problem here, crime is going down, aren't they overlooking some of the most underserved communities that are feeling this pain almost every day?
I mean, they're intentionally lying about what the realities are in the city of Chicago. I remember the White House just mentioned almost 150,000 crimes committed just this year alone. That's insane. What we're seeing now is Democrats, whether it be locally, J.B. Pritzker or Mayor Brandon Johnson or Gavin Newsom, locally or nationally, are in a tailspin. The lies that they have been telling, the American people are not capitulating to. What they're seeing in Washington, D.C., with Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and many others at the helm is results. They know that if they send out what we see in National Guard in many instances and other federal agencies, that we would see reductions. And that same model can be copied to some extent in Chicago and in Illinois. Democrats know that it's been effective. What they wanted was chaos. They wanted confusion. They wanted to see protests and violence occur on our streets and pushback to the Trump administration. But that's not what they've gotten. They've gotten residents who've embraced the actions of our president, and they want to see more of that around the country. That's why Democrats are now trying to act, because they know that this will be a major issue in the midterms. So they're trying to take that issue off the table.
Well, not far from here in the nation's capital is a city that is known for violence. Baltimore has had a rough history, and their crime stats are coming back down. But I want to play this moment where an MSNBC anchor actually had to check the Baltimore mayor and remind him that he's got one of the highest crime rates anywhere in the country. Watch this.
Wow.
Listen, we know how to continue to reduce violence here in Baltimore City. We have the fewest amount of homicides in 50 years on record, and that's because of what we're doing in our comprehensive violence prevention plan.
Your city has seen this big drop in homicides this year, but it still has one of the highest crime rates in the country, and there are still dozens of people who have been killed. What is your plan to accelerate the crackdown on the violence?
So he goes on and he lists a lot of these social programs, but he doesn't talk about increasing police safety. Gianno, what do you think actually works?
Well, you know what? Kimberly Klacik, as we know, she ran for Congress. She had that very popular ad walking in her heels through Baltimore, showing the blight and the crime that exists there. She did a very good job highlighting the national crisis, or rather the crisis that exists in Baltimore. Yes, you need to increase police presence. You need to hire more police, but you also need to unhandcuff the police, which is what a lot of Democrat mayors have been doing. They don't allow their police to operate. Obviously, we want safety and protection. We don't want to have civil liberties violated or anything like that, but it's time to get tough on crime. We've had enough of this passive policy that has been pushed nationally in the name of criminal justice reform when it's in fact been justice for the criminal. It is time out for that. President Trump is showing how you get it done. And this should be a model that should be copied in many of the states. He's offered to partner with these places. Maybe they say, oh, we don't want you to have full control. Well, you can partner because the people are demanding it, especially in places like Chicago, where my innocent teenage baby brother Christian was murdered. We must push back on these soft on crime policies.
Well, it is, this has been such a political loser for the left, and I think they're starting to realize it. I don't know if they're making any different actions, but this is a new op-ed by a Democrat that's arguing that for crime, the Democrats still don't get it. And here's a pullout from this op-ed from The Hill. He says, on the issue of crime, the Republicans have been playing my fellow Democrats like a fiddle for 50 years, and now we're getting played again. It's all part of Trump's effort to protect law and order, according to a White House fact sheet. And the Democrats' response, the GOP is exaggerating the problem. It's stoking racism by highlighting African-American criminality, and it's promoting a federal militarization of policing, which places our entire democracy in peril. But in America, the party that seems weaker on crime will always lose. So Democrats need to stop downplaying the problem, even if the facts are on our side. Gianno, your final word.
100% agree that the Democrats know that they're losing on this issue. I started the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety at caldwellinstitute.org. I encourage people to support our efforts there to ensure that these elected officials who don't want to be honest about the crime issue, who want to be soft on crime, can be pushed out of office no matter what level of government they're in. We have to change the trajectory of our country. Lives are literally on the line.
Well, Gianno, thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing your brother's story. I know he'd be really proud of you.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the.
So let's go ahead and jump over to the next one.
Federal agents could be days away from heading to a North Shore naval base. We're learning that is part of President Donald Trump's safety crackdown for Chicago. We have team coverage of the plans, including new reaction from Governor Pritzker. But we begin with our Charlie DeMar live in the newsroom. Charlie.
And Erica, the Great Lakes Naval Base confirms that the Department of Homeland Security reached out asking for operational help with an upcoming ICE mission. While details remain scarce, Governor J.B. Pritzker once again made it clear that Chicago does not have a crisis that requires federal troops. President Donald Trump has vowed to send in troops to Chicago, just as he's done in D.C. Despite crime being down year over year, the president and his administration continue to falsely claim that Chicago has a crime and violent immigrant problem.
We're going to take the assets we have and move them to problem areas like sanctuary cities, where we know for a fact they're releasing public safety threat illegal aliens to the streets every day.
This spring, the Department of Justice slashed nearly $160 million in grants meant for violence prevention. $16 million was earmarked for Chicago.
He's defunding our efforts to fight crime so that he can send troops into the city of Chicago for one reason. I want everybody to pay attention what the reason is. It's about the elections in 2026 and about interrupting our ability to have a fair and free election in 2026.
I had one person say, like, it took years to build this and it could take months to tear it down.
Rita Oseguera spoke with local violence prevention groups facing the reality of these budget cuts. She's a reporter for The Trace, a newsroom focused on gun violence.
When speaking to violence prevention leaders and organizers, what they were saying is that if President Donald Trump was serious about reducing gun violence and helping Chicago, then he would reinstate the funding that was recently cut.
The New York Times reviewed a request from the Department of Homeland Security. The report says the Trump administration plans to ramp up immigration enforcement in Chicago, calling for a 30-day operation at the Great Lakes Naval Base, including 250 people, parking for 140 vehicles, storage space for medical supplies, bathrooms and laundry, and rubber bullets and tear gas. And a spokesperson for the naval base says while they were approached about helping ICE and the Department of Homeland Security, they have not been asked to provide any assistance for the National Guard. We are live in the newsroom. Charlie DeMar, CBS News, Chicago. Erica?
Why is it so worrying? Why so worried about the National Guard? Like, why are they scared? Why are they scared? Like, why all this projection of fear? Like, I think it's a good thing. I mean, clean up the mess, clean up and stop the killing, stop the violence, get all these illegal weapons, get them off the street. You know, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just weird. Society's just weird. Chicago's just super weird. All right, let's go to more news. Oh, this Venezuela thing again. Okay, let's check it out.
The tensions between the United States and Venezuela are rising amidst a large U.S. naval buildup in the southern part of the Caribbean and nearby waters, which the U.S. official says aims to address threats from South American drug cartels. Washington has deployed about 5 warships and 4,000 troops to the Caribbean to pressure the leftist strongman. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump has made cracking down on a drug cartel a central goal of his administration, part of a wider effort to limit migration to secure the U.S. southern border, while U.S. Coast Guard and naval ships regularly operate in the southern part of the Caribbean, and this buildup is significantly larger than the usual deployments in the region. The Pentagon has not indicated publicly as to what exactly the U.S. mission will be, but the Trump administration has said that it can now use the military to go after the drug cartels and the criminal groups, and has directed the Pentagon to prepare for options. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has denounced the moves. Maduro has announced a massive military mobilization in response to the escalating pressure from the United States over drug trafficking charges against him. Maduro has said that he'll deploy more than 4.5 million militia members across Venezuela to secure the entire national territory. And this move comes after Washington doubled the bounty for his arrest to $50 million. The U.S. has accused him of leading a major drug trafficking network that is known as the Cartel de los Sols, and Maduro has slammed Washington's moves. He has called on his political base to strengthen the grassroots armed units, including peasants and worker militias. He has declared that these groups should be equipped with rifles and missiles to protect Venezuela's territory, sovereignty, and peace.
El imperio se volvió loco.
The empire has gone mad and has renewed its threats to Venezuela's peace and tranquility like a rotten rehash. So we must advance on all fronts simultaneously and prepare ourselves to win sovereignty and peace in any circumstances that may arise in the days, months, and years to come, in order to defeat U.S. imperialism once again in any form they may attempt against our noble, peaceful, hard-working, and beloved people of Venezuela.
In its own move to curb the drug menace, Venezuela has deployed about 15,000 troops along its border with Colombia. In order to fight the drug trafficking, Venezuelan government sent troops to Salilu and Táchira states. The officials claim that they've already seized nearly 53 tons of drugs this year. For all the latest news, download the VON app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You know, it's basically this, you know, they're going to control that oil too. You know, I feel like that oil is very precious down there in Venezuela, especially in Guyana. There's like a lot of oil right off the coast. But Venezuela, man, they were going to do this the first round when Trump was in office. But with the virus coming out, they kind of like backed off on that. I think now Trump's like, fuck this shit. We're going after this motherfucker. He's like, I don't care. We're going after him. All right, let's go to this news. And then we're going to start watching the Tyson de la Cruz after this one. Hopefully, we'll have a back-to-back on Tyson de la Cruz. If not, we'll watch this. And we'll
Turning to the investigation, they are now focused on the shooter's family.
They say they have talked to both their father and mother about possible warning signs. Uba Ali spoke to one of the shooter's former teachers, and Uba joins us right now. Hi there.
Hi, Amelia. Teachers are taught a lot of things. One to look out for during mental health trainings is self-isolation, self-harm, anything that could be a cry for help. This teacher says that's what she noticed several years ago and reported it. As the community mourns and investigators work around the clock looking for answers, there is another voice.
I felt like I connected with this student.
Sarah Reilly taught art at one of the high schools the shooter attended in the Twin Cities. They were in her class several years ago when they went by a different name.
I have just like this sculpture that Bob made that was like this little guy with a big nose.
And it wasn't until she saw this photo that she made the connection. Did you ever think this person would be capable of such a heinous act?
No.
But she recalls noticing concerning signs.
Self-harm is usually an indication of either a cry for help or an expression of self-hatred or both. And that's something that needs to be reported.
And she did, but doesn't know what happened after. Would you say there was missed warning signs?
I don't know if it's necessarily that they were missed. I noticed. I think it's a lack of preparation, a lack of knowing what to do, a lack of resources.
Investigators are looking into a motive, questioning family members, including the shooter's mother in Naples, Florida, who used to work at Annunciation.
There has been conversation, and I am not at liberty to go any further.
In a newly released search warrant, we learned the shooter recently went through a breakup and was staying with a friend in St. Louis Park. For Reilly, her plea is simple, that this tragedy doesn't end with flowers and vigils, but action.
I'm feeling sad and pessimistic that we can make progress on this.
Another new search warrant shows the shooter went through 4 magazines of ammo, about 120 bullets, and had even more they didn't use. Also new, that warrant says the shooter placed smoke canisters on the 2x4s they used to barricade the doors. Amelia.
Becomes even more disturbing, Uba. All right, thank you.
In the middle of crisis and chaos, the shooting also showed us the bravery and instinct of some of our neighbors. Today, the mayor honored those heroes.
From fire to police, from neighborhood relations to communications, from emergency management to health, our city showed up. And because of that collective work, lives were saved.
He's stupid. He's a fucking idiot. All right. I'm just telling you, he's a fucking idiot. Like, I can't stand him. I don't care for him. But we are going to watch, as promised, a back-to-back on the Tyson de la Cruz. So hang on tight, and we're gonna watch back-to-back. I'm just gonna skip. I'm just gonna go from one to the next, and then we'll talk at the end, and then I'm gonna wrap up the show. I want to start the weekend early. This weekend is definitely wrestling weekend. It's I believe Sunday at 2 or 3 p.m. It's going to be early because it's going to be nighttime in Paris, but daytime here. So around 3 p.m., Clash in Paris begins. So I know Albie's going to watch, and I know Tyson de la Cruz is going to probably be there. He'll probably watch. Be interesting. That's what we do. We watch WWE events and so forth. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get to Tyson de la Cruz.
The Police Officers Association says there were 200 cars and an estimated 500 people gathered for the dangerous and illegal stunt show.
America, we need to talk about what's happening in Oakland, California, because this story perfectly exposes how Democrat politicians lie about crime statistics while their city literally burns. Last weekend, 500 people took over the streets for a massive sideshow that lasted nearly an hour, set cars on fire and terrorized residents, while only 16 police cars were available to respond. But here's the kicker. Mayor Barbara Lee is claiming that violent crime in Oakland dropped 29% the first half of 2025. So let me get this straight. The crime is supposedly down 29%, but you have 500 criminals taking over intersections while police stand around and watch because they're too understaffed to do anything about it.
Chaos on the streets of Oakland.
That's
Fireworks,
crazy.
cars doing donuts, people jumping on a car,
What the
breaking
hell?
windows, and later setting it on fire. This
What?
was the scene at 41st and Howe early Sunday morning.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This is exactly what happens.
He's wearing
when you
light
have
brown.
weak
I'm wearing
leadership
brown.
that prioritizes
That's
statistics
funny.
over safety, and it shows you why residents are fleeing California cities at record numbers. Let me break down what actually happened in Oakland because the details are absolutely wild. At 41st, around 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, approximately 500 people and 200 cars took over the intersection for a massive sideshow that lasted nearly an hour.
The Police Officers Association says there were 200 cars and an estimated 500 people gathered for the dangerous and illegal stunt show, but only 16 patrol cars available to respond.
These weren't just people doing donuts. They were jumping on cars, breaking windows, setting off illegal fireworks, and firing guns into the air. Residents said their condo buildings were shaking from explosions. One neighbor described seeing young people setting bottles on fire and throwing them in the air.
Neighbors tell me their condo building shook from the explosions. They tell me they cannot erase the images of young people stomping on vehicles and setting one on fire. A total disregard for property and safety.
The climax came when the crowd jumped on an Infiniti, likely stolen, that had been broken down from spinning off in the street, and then set it on fire in the middle of the street. They literally torched a car while recording it on social media, knowing that there would be absolutely no consequences.
You thought your life was in danger?
Yeah. Just start doing shot fires in the air.
Neighbors say they saw young people setting bottles on fire and throwing them in the air.
Residents are terrified. One woman said, "I was scared. I was prepping to think I am going to run. But if I run, where am I going to run in the midst of all this crap happening?" Another resident asked, "Are the wires going to catch on fire? Is the building going to catch on fire?" Now, here's the part that's going to blow your mind. The Oakland Police Officers Association says there were only 16 patrol cars available to respond to 500 people committing crimes. 16 cars for 500 criminals. That is a 31-to-1 ratio, and the police union says they don't have enough resources to handle an event at this type of magnitude.
We don't have the resources to handle an event that's that magnitude.
Hey, National Guard.
Lee Nguyen, president of the Oakland Police Officers Association, says the department's pursuit policy also makes it challenging for officers to respond to such a large sideshow.
But it gets worse in California. The police pursuit policy makes it nearly impossible for officers to actually do anything. Most of these sideshow cars are stolen, but officers can't pursue stolen vehicles even at 2 a.m. when there's very light traffic. So these criminals know that they can use stolen cars with complete impunity.
For example, people often use stolen vehicle to participate in sideshow. That's why you see some of these vehicles are set on fire because those are stolen vehicles that they use. But for one thing is we cannot pursue any of those stolen vehicles.
The end result, police wrote 21 citations and towed 4 vehicles. 21 citations for 500 people committing crimes for nearly an hour. That is 4.2% citation rate. Imagine if only 4% of speeders got tickets, everybody would be doing 100 miles an hour on the freeway. Residents said police didn't take action until people started setting fires. One neighbor tried to put out a car fire with the fire extinguisher, but was told to back off off for his own safety. So citizens are trying to protect their own neighborhoods while police stand around and just watch. Here's the real story behind Oakland's crime problem. The Oakland Police Department has only 515 officers actively working on their streets, the lowest staff level in 25 years. But according to an independent study, Oakland should have 877 officers to meet minimum safety standards. That's a shortage of 362 officers.
Tim Della Vega is the treasurer of the Oakland Police Officers Association. He believes crime in the city is largely driven by a lack of policing resources. The union counts 649 sworn officers, with more than 100 on leave or modified assignments.
Tim from the police union explains what's really happening here.
We're losing 5 to 6 officers a month. And when we talk to the officers that are exiting, it's not that they're leaving police work altogether. 60% of them are leaving to go to other agencies.
So Oakland cops aren't leaving police work. They're fleeing Oakland for departments that actually support them and let them do their jobs. Meanwhile, Mayor Barbara Lee promised during her campaign to increase the Oakland Police Department staffing to 700 officers, but she's nowhere even close to that goal at the moment. The city's approach, they're funding 5 police academies over the next 2 years to reach 678 officers. But at the current rate of losing 5 to 6 officers per month, they're losing 60 to 72 officers per year. So even if they graduate 100 new officers, they're still going to be backwards. Now let's talk about Mayor Barbara Lee's claim that violent crime is down by 29% the first half of 2025. According to official data, homicides are down 21%, aggravated assaults down 18%, rapes down 24%, and robberies down 41%. But here's what they're not telling you. These statistics are absolutely meaningless when police can't respond to crimes that are actually in progress. When you have 500 people committing crimes for an hour and only 21 citations are issued, those crimes aren't being recorded properly in the statistics.
During her campaign, Mayor Lee promised to increase OPD staffing. In a statement sent to ABC 7 News, her office saying, the city's approach combines funding 5 police academies over the next 2 years to reach 678 officers on our way to the 700 sworn officer goal.
The U.S. News and the World Report just ranked Oakland as the second most dangerous place in America using 2024 FBI crime data. So either the FBI data is wrong or Oakland's 2025 statistics are being manipulated. I'll let you decide which one is more likely. Kat Brooks from the Anti-Police Terror Project accurately agrees that more police do not actually make us safe. She says,
the data actually says that more police do not actually make us more safe. That actually more resources make us more safe.
Brooks says as a part of Oakland's latest budget, OPG got a sizable increase while other departments face cuts.
But if you have all these agencies that are supposedly making Oakland safer, why do residents feel like prisoners in their own homes during these sideshows? One of the most heartbreaking parts of this story is listening to Oakland residents who feel completely abandoned by their government. Maybe it's time to move. Kathy Mill, who has lived in the area for more than 30 years, said the sideshows are getting out of control. It's terrifying, she says. It's a residential neighborhood, and the video I saw of cars zooming around and idiots running around in front of them gets part of a game.
Kathy Mill has lived here more than 30 years and says sideshows in Oakland are now getting out of control.
It's terrifying. It's a residential neighborhood. The video I saw, the cars were zooming around and these idiots were running in front of them.
One resident said, I was thinking, is this going to happen again? So anytime I hear screeching tires, you know that it's happening again. These people are living in fear in their own neighborhood while their mayor claims that crime is down 29%. Residents are asking city leaders to install concrete barriers and speed bumps to prevent these sideshows. Think about this. They're asking for physical barriers because they know the police can't protect them. They've given up on law enforcement and are asking for medieval fortifications. The crowd didn't disperse until fire crews arrived on the scene. Not police, fire crews. This tells you everything you need to know about who actually has authority in Oakland. America, this story perfectly illustrates the complete failure of Democrat governance in California cities. You have a mayor claiming that crime is down 29%, while 500 criminals take over an intersection, set cars on fire, and terrorize residents for nearly an hour. You have a police department that's lost 362 officers below minimum staffing levels with a pursuit policy that makes it impossible to chase stolen vehicles, even if they're being used to commit crimes. You have residents living in fear, asking for concrete barricades because they know the police can't protect them. This is what happens when you prioritize woke ideology over public safety, when you defund the police, restrict their ability to pursue criminals, and then lie about crime statistics to make yourself look good while your city burns. Oakland, 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 you deserve better than this. You deserve leaders who will hire enough police officers, let them do their job, and actually prosecute criminals instead of making excuses for them. The fact that 68% of Oakland cops are leaving for other agencies tells you everything you need to know. These aren't bad cops. They're good cops fleeing a bad system that won't let them protect the community. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Here we go, back to back. Tyson.
Just into our newsroom tonight, the state now confirming it is the victim of a cyber attack.
America, we just witnessed what could be the future of cyber warfare, and it should be terrifying for every American. The entire state of Nevada was brought to its knees by a sophisticated ransomware attack that shut down the DMV, welfare offices, and critical services for nearly a week. But here's what's really disturbing. Cybersecurity experts believe these attackers use AI-powered tools to lurk inside Nevada computer systems for months, mapping out vulnerabilities and planning their assault. This wasn't some teenager in their basement. This was a military-grade cyber operation that demonstrates how adversaries are using artificial intelligence to wage war on American infrastructure.
Our concerns were confirmed. The state of Nevada had become the target of a sophisticated ransomware-based cybersecurity attack.
And that cyber attack still being felt today by many of you watching this broadcast.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This attack perfectly illustrates how cyber criminals are evolving faster than our defenses, using cutting-edge technology to target systems we depend on every single day. Let me break down what happened, because this attack represents a new level of cyber warfare sophistication. On Sunday, August 24, 2025, Nevada State computer systems were hit with what officials called a sophisticated ransomware-based cyber attack that hit simultaneously, crippling multiple agencies across the entire state of Nevada.
The governor's office confirms right here in this press release that the state has been the victim of a cyber attack. The incident that shut down services that we rely on is now at the center of an active investigation.
But here's what makes this attack particularly terrifying. Cybersecurity experts believe attackers had been inside Nevada systems for months before launching the ransomware. This is called dwell time, and it's a hallmark of advanced persistent threat. APT groups that use AI-powered reconnaissance tools to map out entire networks before they actually strike.
When an attacker is able to identify a flaw in the system, something that they can access in the internal systems of a network. Once they have full-on access to all the systems that they can, they generally execute their ransomware attack.
Tim Rai, a cybersecurity expert with over 20 years experience, explained how these modern attacks work. When an attacker is able to identify a flaw in the system, something that they can use to access internal networks, they're able to gain full-on access to all the systems that they can, then generally execute their ransomware attack. The simultaneous shutdown of the DMV, welfare services, state police databases, and even traffic cameras shows this wasn't a random attack. This was a coordinated assault on the critical infrastructure of Nevada. What we're seeing in Nevada represents the next evolution of cyber warfare attacks powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning. Modern ransomware groups are using AI tools to automate network reconnaissance, identify vulnerabilities, and execute attacks with precision that would have been impossible just 5 years ago.
For 48 hours, locals trying to come to this welfare office in East Las Vegas have been left in limbo. This after a statewide cyber attack caused major disruptions to their services and many others.
These AI-powered tools can scan thousands of systems simultaneously, learn from each other's interaction to identify the most vulnerable targets. They can adapt their attack methods in real time, bypassing traditional security measures that rely on recognizing known threat patterns. The fact that attackers were able to maintain persistent access to Nevada systems for months without detection suggests they were using advanced evasion techniques, possibly including AI-generated polymorphic malware that's consistently changing its signature to avoid detection.
There could be other political reasons. There could be a nation-state attack. It could be several other things as well on that front. It also could be something where the security team at the state have affected something and has basically pulled the plug.
Cybersecurity expert Tim Roy noted this could be a nation-state attack, which is particularly concerning because nation-state actors have access to the most advanced AI-powered cyber weapons available. Initially, state officials claimed that no personal information has been compromised, but that story quickly changed as the investigation progressed. By Wednesday, they admitted that some data has been infiltrated or moved outside the state network by malicious actors.
I must disclose that our ongoing forensic investigation has found evidence that indicates some data has been exfiltrated or moved outside the state network.
Not good.
By the malicious actors.
This data infiltration is particularly concerning because modern ransomware groups use AI-powered data analysis tools to automatically identify the exact and most vulnerable information from the compromised system. They're not just encrypting files for ransom, they're stealing sensitive data that could be used for identity theft, espionage, or sold to the dark market web.
At this stage of our intensive investigation, we cannot yet identify or classify the specific nature of this data.
The fact that investigators still can't identify what specific data was stolen, probably all of it, suggests that attackers use sophisticated techniques, possibly including AI-generated encrypted methods that make it extremely difficult to determine what information was actually compromised. This represents a new level of cyber criminal sophistication. They're not just holding systems hostage, they're conducting intelligence operations that could have long-term national security implications. While the technical aspects of this attack are particularly fascinating from a cybersecurity perspective, the human cost is absolutely devastating. Real Nevadans were left without access to essential government services for nearly a week because of these sophisticated cyber criminals.
We receive food stamps due to our financial situation. Jose Quintana and his wife are on a fixed income and rely on food stamps to help them get by. On Monday, they stopped by the welfare office near Flamingo and Pecos looking for help with their benefits card.
This shows how AI-powered cyber attacks aren't just technical problems. They have real-world consequences for vulnerable Americans.
It's shocking because I've never seen this happen before. I caught up with Stephen Gomez in the parking lot of the East Sahara Avenue DMV Tuesday. Just came in to do a renewal on my truck, and won't be able to do it today.
Stephen Gomez couldn't renew his truck registration and was stuck riding his motorcycle. One senior citizen dealing with cancer said, "I'm a senior citizen and I've been dealing with cancer. It's hard for me to come out here in the heat and deal with all this." These sophisticated attacks target the systems that Americans depend on for basic services, turning advanced technology into a weapon against ordinary citizens. What happened in Nevada, unfortunately, is just the beginning. Cybersecurity experts predict that AI-powered attacks will become increasingly common and sophisticated. We're entering an area where cyber criminals can use machine learning to automatically discover vulnerabilities, craft personalized attacks, and execute coordinated assaults on critical infrastructure.
It was the first time we really heard anything from anyone about this attack. There were no less than 9 speakers at the governor's office in Carson City, with one notable exception. The governor, Joe Lombardo. He was in Elko.
The challenge for defenders is that AI-powered attacks can evolve faster than traditional security measures can adapt. While human security analysis might take days or weeks to identify and respond to new threats, AI-powered attack tools can modify their tactics in real time. This unfortunately creates an arms race between AI-powered attack tools and AI-powered defense systems. The side with the most advanced artificial intelligence capabilities will have a significant advantage in this new form of warfare. The Nevada attacks demonstrates that foreign adversaries and criminal organizations are already developing these advanced capabilities against American infrastructure. The question is whether our defenses can keep up pace with the rapidly evolving threat. America, this Nevada cyber attack represents a watershed moment in the evolution of cyber warfare. We're no longer dealing with simple hackers using basic tools. We're facing sophisticated adversaries who are weaponizing artificial intelligence against American infrastructure. The fact that these attackers were able to maintain persistent access to Nevada systems for months, simultaneously compromise multiple agencies, and execute a coordinated ransomware attack shows a level of sophistication that should concern every American. The attack also demonstrates how vulnerable our critical infrastructure is to AI-powered cyber weapons. If Nevada systems can be completely paralyzed for nearly a week? What happens when these same techniques are used against power grids, water systems, or financial networks? The good news is that this attack is spurring investment in AI-powered cybersecurity defenses. The private sector is developing machine learning tools that can detect and respond to threats faster than human analysis ever could. But we need to recognize we're in a new era of cyber warfare where the stakes are higher and the weapons are even more sophisticated than ever before. The Nevada attack is a preview of what's coming if we don't take cybersecurity seriously. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, Tyson. Another great show. Oh man, I'm tired. I'm like trying to hold my neck up. My neck is tired. I'm very exhausted. Had a pretty long day today, but I'm wrapping it up. I want to thank everyone who came through, Albie, and everyone who rewatches. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys so much. Welcome to the weekend. Tomorrow, see if I can come out early. See how I wake up. It's Saturday, so it's like I want to sleep in. I'm already yawning. I'm tired. I had a long day, but I got everything accomplished, so that's a good thing. With that said, have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night wherever you're at. I'll catch you on the flip side, and I'll be back on tomorrow. Probably, if not early, definitely in the evening. But I'm only gonna do one show. So if I do it in the morning, I'm not gonna do it in the evening because tomorrow I'm going to a cookout. So the train of truth is here, right on time. Thank you very much. But we'll see about tomorrow, and just enjoy the weekend. It's the last weekend of summer. Ooh. That's the dreadful words. And now we're heading into fall. The leaves are starting to change up here. I can see the difference in the yellow. Like it's like green, but it's turning like the yellowish. Like it's starting to change. I can see the different like colors of green. So we might have an early fall this year. Kind of makes sense because the Earth is moving a little fast. So with that said, I'm out of here. Have a good weekend, and see you tomorrow. Good night. Peace.